Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video I will be bringing you guys a 2022 NFL mock draft for the Washington football team. It will be 3 rounds, and this is my second mock draft of the year so far, so make sure you guys stay tuned to see who I pick for the Washington football team. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content, hit that like button and turn on those notifications so you never miss a video. Also, check out my Twitter, links in the description, and also check out WinView. Let's get right into this mock draft. Okay, so the Washington football team currently has the 19th pick in the first round of the 2022 NFL draft, but obviously that could drastically change depending on if they make the playoffs. If they make the playoffs, the earliest they will end up picking, unless there's a trade, is pick 19, and it could go all the way down, obviously, to 32, depending on how they do in the playoffs. But if Washington doesn't make the playoffs, they'll probably be picking anywhere from, I would say, 8 to like 13, 14 wins, or not 14 wins, 8 to 13 in the draft. But currently they are 19th because they are the 7th seed in the NFC, but again, could definitely change, especially with all the cases the Washington football team has had. It's going to be very, very hard unless most of those guys come back. It's going to be very hard for Washington to beat the Eagles this week, which is going to make it hard for Washington to make the playoffs. So it looks like they probably will be picking somewhere in this range, but who knows? Crazier things have happened. So now let's go to our first round pick. So right here, Washington is at an interesting spot at pick 19 because a lot of the better quarterbacks are going to be off the board. So if Washington does make the playoffs, I do believe they will still try to trade up and get their guy. And even if they want to start Heineke for the year and develop this quarterback under him, I still think they're going to draft a quarterback this year in the first few rounds unless they go for one of the big veteran names in, the offseason. But I think Heineke obviously is a better version than a lot of the free agent options because there just aren't any great free agent options. So there's one of the possibilities is Washington drafts a quarterback and sits him behind Heineke for a little bit, lets him develop. But right here, Matt Corral's off the board, Kenny Pickett's off the board. A lot of the top names are off the board. So I decided to do a non-quarterback first round mock draft this time because I did pick a quarterback last time. So we're going to go ahead. There's a bunch of different spots Washington can go here. Devin Lloyd out of Utah is a stud linebacker. Jameson Williams, wide receiver out of Alabama. There's a bunch of different spots. Washington, though, their offense is really struggling right now, and obviously a lot of that has to do with injuries. But I do think they need a boost on offense, and wide receiver Garrett Wilson, he's an absolute beast. I'm going to go ahead and select him, and I know people are going to say, oh, we shouldn't be drafting him. We have other, bigger needs like, possibly linebacker and safety, and I could agree with, safety, especially free safety, but linebacker, I think they're not going to spend, another first-round pick on a linebacker this year just because, it is still a hole, but I like what Cole Holcomb's doing. Jamin Davis, they're obviously not giving up on him. He's going to have to step up in the next year or two. They're still going to be playing him. And then Landon Collins has really emerged as, a really good hybrid linebacker slash, safety, big nickel position. So he's been playing a lot in that box, and that's really improved our linebacking play there. So they might not need to, select a linebacker in the first round, still might need to select a linebacker in general. But, Garrett Wilson would just provide a huge boost to this offense, and I'm usually against drafting receivers in the first round, but Garrett Wilson is an absolute stud. About 6 foot, 188 pounds, obviously played at Ohio State, and this past season had 70 catches for over 1,000 yards, 15 yards per catch, and 12 touchdowns. He's an insane route runner, probably one of the best route runners in this class. And he's got good hands as well. I mean, he really doesn't have that many weaknesses, and you can also use him in the run game a little bit. He had 4 rushes this year for 76 yards. So, he's explosive in the run game, and he can return as well. If you need him to, he can return. Had 13 punt returns this year and didn't have any kick returns, but still, I really like what he brings to the table. I really think he would help out Washington this year. I think Washington, they tried to make some big moves this offseason in terms of receiver, signing Curtis Samuel. That just hasn't worked out. And I'm not saying it won't work out because, this whole year has kind of been wasted for him with that groin injury. But, even if Curtis Samuel is balling out, I still think we would need another receiver. And then they they drafted De'Ami Brown in the 3rd round, and that just hasn't worked out yet. And there's still obviously time, but it just doesn't look good, and they can't bank on him being a productive receiver this coming year. And I said this earlier, normally I don't like drafting a receiver in the 1st round, but if you think about our holes besides quarterback, our linebacker, I would say still linebacker, safety, and there's a couple other holes there, but I think those are your 3 main holes, and those aren't necessarily positions you would love to draft in the 1st round. But I think Garrett Wilson is a really good player and a really good fit for this offense and really help out whatever quarterback is starting here next year, whether it's Taylor Heinicke or whether it's a rookie. I think adding Garrett Wilson will really help out this offense. Okay, so now with our 2nd round pick, a quarterback fell to us, Carson Strong out of Nevada. I don't think this will happen in real life, but there's a possibility. Let's say we don't make the playoffs, and let's say we have like the 10th-ish pick in each round. Maybe he's there in the 2nd, and if not, we can trade up a little bit. I think he'll be in that late 1st to, mid-2nd range. Who knows? These quarterbacks, through the draft process, their stocks are going to, change drastically. But I think Carson Strong would be a really solid option for the Washington football team. He's one of the most NFL-ready quarterbacks coming out of this class, in my opinion. But you could still sit him behind Heinicke, who I think we should have. He is back next year, but maybe even extend him a little bit more. You look at his, background, about 6'4", 215 pounds, played basketball in high school, so played a bunch of different sports. He's not a great athlete, but he's good enough. He's mobile enough. He's not going to kill you, with his, legs, but he still can avoid, sacks, which is what you want. He's able to manipulate the pocket, which is also what you want. Able to take care of the football, has really good, ball placement, not amazing ball placement in the red zone, but those are things that he can, improve on. He's got, he's a very, very smart football player. So, he still has room to develop. He still has room to develop. You look at this past year, had a 70% completion percentage, had 4,100 passing yards, 36 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. And a lot of those interceptions, if you look back at it, and I was reading some of the scouting report on him, were on the receivers. So I think he is definitely an option for Washington. Whether they want to start him right away or develop him behind Heinicke, he's an option in the 1st or 2nd round that Washington could go after. I think he'll probably end up being a 2nd round pick, but again, we have no idea what's going to happen with this draft process. Who plays well at the Senior Bowl, at the Combine, who does well in the interviews. A lot of things could change, but Carson Strong is definitely a good candidate after those top 3 guys that a lot of teams are looking for. So now let's get into our 3rd round pick. So we drafted Garrett Wilson in the 1st round, wide receiver out of Ohio State. And in the 2nd round, we drafted Carson Strong. So, we added 2 players to our offense. And our offense, if healthy, looks pretty good. Offensive line has been, decimated by injuries, but still playing okay besides the last game against the Cowboys. And obviously, they're going to get healthier and get some other guys in that room. But I don't think, unless someone really, really good falls to them, I don't think they need to address offensive line in the first few rounds. You can use, your mid-round picks, your 4th, 5th, 6th round picks to, draft a guard or a tackle, because you can get some really good value. The Chiefs did it themselves this year in offensive linemen in the mid to late rounds. So I don't think they need to draft an offensive lineman. And then, the tight end situation obviously sucks with the Logan Thomas, the Logan Thomas injury sucks, but it looks like he will be back for the start of the 2022 season. You got John Bates there, so another situation where if you want maybe a mid-round guy. And then running back is another, we'll see if Gibson continues this. They might need to look at a running back, but that's another situation where you can get those guys in the mid-round. So linebacker is the biggest hole remaining along with safety, but there's not any really good safeties available that I looked at. So I think linebacker is the best move. The best overall player, if you look at the whole board, is Brandon Smith. So I think second best player available is Brandon Smith, and that's one of our bigger needs. Even though Landon Collins is playing great, it would be nice to add another linebacker in there, and Brandon Smith is a really solid option. He's a little bit of a hybrid as well. He can get to the quarterback. He's an athletic freak, and obviously Micah Parsons went to Penn State. Brandon Smith is at Penn State right now, and he's an athletic freak. Ran a 4.38 40-yard dash, and this is in high school. Blocked 6 kicks in one season at the high school level. He's just got a bunch of potential. Super athletic, and he's pretty versatile as well, and I think he would definitely be a good option for the Washington football team. Not amazing in coverage, that's something he still needs to work on, but you look at his stats in 2021, 80 tackles, 5 passes defended, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble. Not amazing, and he's 6'3", 240 pounds. Not amazing in coverage, but again, those are things that you develop in the NFL, especially when you're someone like Brandon Smith, who is just an athletic freak. A lot of times those things will come in the NFL. It's just you want those traits to be there, and those traits are definitely in Brandon Smith. So I think it would be a really good pick for Washington. I would prefer a safety in this spot in the 3rd round, but there just weren't any good safeties that I thought Washington should go after. No good running backs either. So Brandon Smith in the 3rd round, I think is really good value. Still a junior, so still super young, super raw, and I think he has, his potential is super high. So that is it for our mock draft. So, for the day. So we got 3 picks, and we drafted Garrett Wilson in the 1st, Carson Strong in the 2nd, and Brandon Smith in the 3rd. So those are our 3 picks for the day. I want to hear what you guys have to say on these picks. I know some people are definitely going to disagree with the 1st round pick and maybe even the next 2 after that, but that's why I like it. Everyone give your opinions in the comments section below, and I think I'll do these in the next couple weeks. Next week, if we lose, I definitely will do one because our draft position is going to be changed a ton, so that's going to allow me to do more things. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace.